Hello and welcome to another Bible reading commentary with me, Jennifer Rose. All right, so let's get into Psalm 15, of a Psalm of David. Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? The one whose walk is blameless, who does what is right, who speaks truth from their heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to a neighbor and casts no slur on others, who despises a vile person but honors those who fear the Lord, who keeps an oath even when it hurts and does not change their mind, who lends money to the poor without interest, who does not accept a bribe against the innocent, whoever does these things will never be shaken. That is Psalm 15. So my commentary on this is, I think the lending to the poor without interest part is interesting. And I also think the first part says, Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent, who may live on your holy mountain. And then it gives this list of things to do, to be like blameless. Basically, the idea is that you have to be blameless, completely like sinless, basically, in order to dwell in your sacred tent. And back in the Old Testament times, there was like this thing where like the high priest, nobody would actually enter into the tent of meeting except for the high priest, and he would do it once a year to like do sacrifices for the sins of all of Israel and to do himself first. And so there'd be this whole like ritual, and the Israelites even used to like tie a bell to like the foot of the high priest, because if he wasn't blameless enough from the sacrifices, then he would die. Like nobody could go inside of that tent, the tent of God's presence, without dying, except for the high priest once a year. And what's interesting is that like David is kind of pointing that out. He's saying like you have to be perfectly blameless. But then in other Psalms, specifically I'm thinking of Psalm 27, David talks about that tent as like a place of security. He says something like, let me think of exactly what David talks about God's sacred tent as a place of safety, even though nobody can enter it without being basically like pure and blameless. I think in Psalm 27 it says something like, one thing I ask of the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. For in the day of trouble he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high up on a rock. Then my head will be exalted above the enemies who surround me. At his sacred tent I will sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord. So it's really interesting, just that contrast of like, if you're not perfect, you die. But then also that's a place of safety. And that is why we need Jesus, because of our sins that make it so that we can't be in God's presence without the pure and spotless Lamb who takes away the sins of the world. And that is all I have to say for today.